Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. I am here today with a paper bead video for you guys. I used to do paper bead videos on my old channel called Darlene's Crafty Crew. The channel is still there. I will link to it down below. But from now on, if I do any paper beads, I don't upload to that channel anymore. I just like to upload to this one. I will be doing future paper bead videos here on this channel. I love making paper beads. It's very relaxing and very creative, but I haven't done it in a long time. So I am going to just start with something very simple, and I'm even going to be using something that I just found in my pile of paper. So it was obviously something I planned on using. So you won't see me actually do this, but I can very quickly and easily explain to you what I did. You can see that there's nothing fancy going on here. You do not have to have any artistic talent of any kind to make some really unique beads. This is just pretty much scribbles with paint. Last summer, Skylar and I, well, she liked to make the paints, and I just used the paints she made on various pieces of paper. I have a stack of them somewhere. I can show you another time. But I was just using up the paint. You know, for instance, like this is like some black and gray, and there's even some glitter, maybe some glitter glue that I put on the top. And what you do is you can use just a part of the decorative paper and you attach it to other paper, and that's going to be the inside of the bead, and then this is just the outer side of the bead. We're going to be making just a plain old tube bead, so you don't need to waste paint on decorating a whole sheet of paper when that is not going to show in the bead at all. You only need about maybe 2.5 inches at the end. And you can also look at magazine pages a different way. If you have a magazine page that has a pretty part, you can just cut it off and then stick it to regular paper, and then as you roll, just that magazine part that you like will be the only thing that shows. Okay, let's just get started. This was just painted with some acrylic paints, and how about I just embellish that a little bit with a marker? Maybe some black in there. Maybe I'll just make some black squiggles. I don't know, probably ruining it. But it's fun. It's fun to see how it's going to turn out. Maybe I want those squiggles a little bit more. Okay. Do I want to do anything else? How about a little bit of pink highlighter? Now, highlighter is not waterproof. Obviously, the paint is waterproof and it's dry. We painted it last summer, so it's dry. The black marker is permanent, so that's not going to run. The highlighter can run a little bit during the rolling process, and sometimes I like that. So let's just do a little bit like this. A little bit of color, a little bit of something. Great way to use up your kids' artwork, or you can just, give them paper and say, scribble on this. And like I said, you can cut the paper and use only what you need. My paper, I used a legal size piece of paper, so it's too long to put in my paper cutter. The reason I wanted a long piece is the longer the paper that you roll, the thicker the bead becomes. So what I'm doing is I just fold it like this, and then I'll be able to fit that in my paper cutter and cut. So let's get to that step. If you don't have a paper cutter, you are free to draw some lines and cut by hand. So my piece of paper is obviously 8.5 inches wide. So I'm going to, let's say I'm going to cut inch strips, so we'll make beads that are 1 inch wide. I will get 8 beads out of this. So first I'm just going to trim at the very end. And then the other end also. Now I'm putting it on the 8-inch line. I don't throw this stuff away because I can make more beads with that. And with this. Now I'm just going to move over 1 inch each time. Now we're ready to roll these 8 beads. I use a paintbrush, and of course the bigger the paintbrush, the bigger the core of the bead. I don't like the core to be too gigantic, but I don't like it to be too small either, because I like, the bead itself to be on the big side. So I'm just going to start rolling this way. Always make sure your design is facing down, not up, down, because as you roll, you want this to be on the outside. And I like to to glue as I go. A lot of people don't. They just glue at the very end, but I find it makes a really nice hard bead if you glue a little bit as you go. So I just start on the thick part of my paintbrush, and this is a little awkward because the paintbrush is tapered, so you can use a skewer. I used to always have a skewer here, but I haven't done this in so long, so I'm just using this paintbrush. I just roll a couple times, and then I take my glue and I just make a strip going down. I'm surprised this glue still even works. And then I just spread it a little bit, and I roll, and I just try to keep the paper as even as possible. Try to keep you in the shot of this too. I forget. Don't know a good way to show you guys this. I haven't done this in so long. When I get to the very end, I'm just going to add some more glue to the tip here. And it's okay if you get glue on the other side, because it's going to be covered with glue or Mod Podge at the end anyway. So I'm just going to roll right until the end. And I like to put a little bit of glue there just so I can smooth that out. Then I take it off, and I kind of press both ends just to make it as even as possible. You don't have to be perfect here. But look, I already really like this. It's amazing how just a little squiggly design like that is very, very pretty on a bead. So happy. Okay, I put this to dry on a foam that has toothpicks. Whatever you want, you can use, but you can, pick up some floral foam really cheap. I didn't even unwrap it. I just left the plastic on there, and I stuck a bunch of toothpicks in there. Let's do the next one. I'll do one more with you, and then I'll stop and finish, and then I'll come back. So I always make sure my print side is down, and then I like to curl the end a little bit. Just makes it easier to get started. And then I start. Just going to roll. And then I add some glue all the way down. I spread it out a little bit. And you can use any cheapy school glue that you can find. I used to be able to get Crazy Art glue, I think is what it was called, at Walmart for like 47 cents a bottle or something like that. And I don't know if they still have it, but any glue is good. Oh, and obviously that paper, was just glued to the legal paper. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. The designed paper. Okay, I'm going to put some glue to smooth this all out. Likey that. And we have bead number 2. I just like it so much. Okay, let me finish up those beads, and then I'll show you the next step. While I'm finishing up this last bead, I wanted to mention that if you don't have legal size copy paper or printer paper, don't worry. You can take 2 pieces of regular printer paper and glue them together. Then you can trim it down to size if you want, or you could just leave it, the length of 2 sheets of paper, and it would make an even chunkier bead. So I have my 8 beads. I don't know why these 2 guys are all alone over here. And we do not have to wait for these to dry. We're going to do the Mod Podge step. If you do not have any Mod Podge, I happen to have, what do I have? Just the gloss. You can use the glue if you want. And you can coat it with glue, but I'm going to use my Mod Podge. I'll have a link down below to the Mod Podge. Actually, oh geez, I used to have the links to all different kinds. I'll see if I can find those links on an old video, and I will show you. Because there's also this, what is this one? The Super Gloss. I love this. But usually I do a coat of just a regular Mod Podge first before I do a Super Gloss, because I like it to be really sealed. Oh yeah, now we have to decide, before we do the Mod Podge, let me close this up. You can see that the edges, let me show you on here, of the bead are like white. Is that going to focus? Focus, please. But you can see what I mean. If I can ever figure out how to show you, this part is white. It looks a little bit more professional. If we color that, you can either use some paint. Paint is really the easiest way, and I don't even care if the paint like matches. Or you can use a marker, and since I don't have any paint open and ready, I'm going to use a marker. So these are still a little bit sticky to hold, but I'm going to deal with it. And since I made some black lines in here, and isn't that cool? Didn't that come out nice with the designs like that? I like it. So I'm just going to take a black marker, and I'm just going to color. You know what I used to do? I forgot. We'll do it next time. I used to color the inside of the paper just on the other end so that the whole inside would be black or whatever, and that really looks awesome. Also, before we rolled this, after I cut all the strips, I could have gone up and down each strip with black on the edges, and then we could skip this step. So again, something else that I can show you. But you can just go around and, you know, this isn't going to cover it perfectly, but I'm just going to hit each end with a little bit of the black, and it doesn't even have to be. It can stay white. But I'm going to hit each end with a little bit of black, just because I feel like it now. Even though it's not covering it all, it gives it kind of like a rustic look. I'm so sticky. You know, like I said, it's been a while, so I can't remember all the things I used to do and how I used to do them. We'll get there. I'm going to be happy to be back to making beads. And again, you didn't really have to do that step. I have a little bubble in one of these. So if I find one that's got a bubble in it, I'll just roll it a little bit like that, flatten that out. Okay, let's get back to the Mod Podge stage. I'm just going to put it now on a bigger paintbrush so that it doesn't slide all the way and it will hold it there. And then I'm going to take a, a fairly soft paintbrush. Geez, I need some new paintbrushes. Oh, here's a skewer. Like I said, you can roll on one of those if you want. My goodness, I had a hard time finding a brush. And then I just dip into the Mod Podge and I just give a good coating. It can be nice and thick, or you can do like a couple thinner coats. Oh, again, I forgot. I usually like to do the end before I put it on the paintbrush. On this paintbrush. And then I do this end too. And I do sometimes like to just leave it very thick like that. And, it'll dry. It doesn't really dry bumpy like you'd think, but I just like the looks of it that way. And then I just put it on the toothpick. Oh yeah, so what I like to do is I like to take this and just do this end really quick. And then I turn it and I do this end really quick. It really keeps that bead from ever shifting, so that the paper doesn't come out from the inside. You can always put your Mod Podge like in a little cap or something if you don't want to stick your brush in the big bottle. You can get Mod Podge, a little bottle, if you want to just try this, at most Dollar Trees. And it's only $1. Mod Podge is not really that expensive, though, and it lasts a long time. All right, so let me just finish these up, and then I will be back. I just want to show you that my beads are dry. I don't know how long it took. Probably an hour and a half or so. They can still be a little tacky sometimes, especially if it's humid. You can just roll them in your hands a little bit, and just the natural oils of your hands will make them not so tacky. So that's what I do sometimes, but I will go ahead and put another coat. Oh, if you use this kind, the gloss, just make sure this is the last coat you use. You don't want to put another coat on top of this. And this stuff can take, you know, I just leave them on the toothpicks for like 2 days after I put the super gloss, because it is quite thick and glossy. And you don't have to put a very thick coat, but, you know, just want to give it some time to dry. So I usually put at least 1 coat of Mod Podge, and then this, and then that's it. Or, and just because I can't get to them, I'll put some iridescent paint on. So I'll usually do like a coat of Mod Podge, iridescent paint, and then sometimes I'll put another coat of Mod Podge or the super gloss. Just have fun, do whatever you want. But I just wanted to show you, and let's see if I can show you up close how pretty these came out. I know I probably don't have the right lighting. Let me see here. I have terrible lighting for you. And I have glue and stuff on my hand. But you can see, came out really cool, and it'll be much shinier after another coat of Mod Podge. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. Bye!